Hello and welcome to the AWS Innovate online conference. My name is Tapan Hoskeri and I'm a solutions architect at Amazon Internet Services Private Limited. In my prior roles as a full stack developer and a technical architect, I've had the opportunity to work with customers across multiple industries such as commercial banking, insurance, and investment banking. In this session titled Build High-Quality Cloud-Enabled Apps in Minutes with AWS, I will talk about creating highly engaging mobile apps using the AWS platform in a manner that will delight both your customers and developers alike. Mobile app development has experienced a scorching pace of growth, with more than 4 million apps released across platforms and app revenue estimated to be around $100 billion by 2020. The opportunity is huge, but the competition is equally fierce. A very small percentage of apps succeed, and an even smaller percentage of those are what you call runaway hits. Also, developing apps is a big investment. On an average, app build times are around 18 weeks, plus there's continuous investment in maintaining and growing the usage of your app. As a result, many apps never even get to version 2 of their existence. Many factors can help or hinder success, including quality, time to market, scalability, reliability, and perhaps most importantly, the unique features of your app. Therefore, mobile app developers have to differentiate their apps and constantly keep innovating while continuing to cater to different mobile devices and mobile platforms. Adding to this, as the app market intensifies, developers need to ensure that they go to market faster and create increasingly rich user experiences while keeping the costs of experimentation low. Now, balancing these factors is a critical trade-off for success. Adding more features can get you more users, but if those users start seeing app crashes or slow response times, the abandon rate is going to be very high. And after you launch your app, knowing what the users are doing with it is extremely important. If you invest engineering time in the wrong features, version 2 of your app may not meet user expectations. The AWS services which we'll cover in this session are designed to help developers to effectively overcome these challenges. To quickly illustrate 2 examples out of the many customers running their apps at scale on AWS, Tinder has seen exponential growth since their launch in 2012, with 1.8 billion swipes a day and 12 million matches per day and 7 petabytes worth of data transfer occurring every month. They store upwards of 2 billion messages in DynamoDB every month. Azurion is a device insurance company with 200 million plus customers. They collect device-related data and provide recommendations for how the user can optimize their device usage. They use a service called Amazon Cognito to avoid the hassles of maintaining a homegrown identity and authentication system. To get started, we will look at the AWS Mobile Hub. This service simplifies the process of building, testing, and monitoring mobile applications that make use of one or more AWS services. It helps you with the heavy lifting of manually creating cloud service configurations and integrating them into your clients. The mobile app features supported include user authentication, data storage, backend logic, push notifications, content delivery, and analytics, all from a single plane. After you build your app, the AWS Mobile Hub gives you easy access to testing on real devices, as well as analytics dashboards to track the usage of your app. There is no charge for Mobile Hub, and you only pay for the AWS services used. There are 5 main areas that the AWS Mobile Hub focuses on based on key phases in a mobile app's development lifecycle, namely develop, test, deploy, measure, and engage, which we will cover during this session. So what are the top benefits that you get out of the box when you use the AWS platform for your mobile apps? The AWS platform makes it easy to scale up and down as your needs grow. Taking care of traffic spikes and growth in demand is easy to achieve. You have the flexibility to use the language and tools that best fit your needs, be it using native apps or using the JavaScript ecosystem. And at AWS, cloud security is job zero for us. The AWS infrastructure puts strong safeguards in place to help protect customer privacy. And no matter the size of your business, the AWS infrastructure is designed to keep data safe. In the develop phase, our goal is to make it quick and easy for you to leverage and incorporate a range of proven AWS services in your apps. Let's look at how this can be done. To examine some typical functions needed in a mobile app and how the AWS Mobile Hub helps you easily build them, let's start with Amazon Cognito. Using this, you can add user sign-up and sign-in flows with support for multi-factor authentication to your apps. You can also authenticate users through social identity providers such as Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon. Amazon Cognito and Amazon S3 enable you to store and sync user data such as user profiles, settings, or the progress of your game, or even store user-generated content like photographs. Creating a mobile backend without provisioning or managing servers is easy with AWS Lambda and Amazon API Gateway. Just upload your code and invoke it using APIs from your mobile app. We will take care of everything else required to run and scale your code. Every app needs a persistent data store, and you can use Amazon DynamoDB to store and query your app data using a fully managed cloud database that provides consistent and fast service at any scale. For an enhanced user experience, you can store app assets like media files in the cloud and download and cache them in your app. You can use a CDN to distribute content to your users with low latency and high transfer speeds using a combination of Amazon S3 and Amazon CloudFront. You can also engage with your users by sending push notifications, either to individuals or groups. You can send just a few messages per day or scale to billions of messages per day with the Amazon Simple Notification service. And finally, with Amazon Pinpoint, you can run targeted campaigns to drive user management in mobile apps. AWS Mobile Hub gives you AWS integration options for your apps built on various platforms, including native ones like iOS and Android, and web and React Native platforms as well. This slide shows the AWS Mobile Hub console with the various features that you as a developer can choose to integrate in your app. After configuring the features, the AWS Mobile Hub will create the necessary helper code in the project, allowing you to focus on the business aspects of your app. The JavaScript ecosystem is thriving, with new use cases and functionality being made available across web and mobile ecosystems every day. Developers are building highly interactive and functional applications across the social, consumer, and enterprise spaces. And from our conversations with these developers, what has emerged is that they want to scale their applications quickly on the cloud, and they want to enable similar patterns and use cases in their apps, such as user sign-in and multi-factor authentication. The AWS Mobile command line interface, built on top of the AWS Mobile Hub, provides a command line interface for front-end JavaScript developers to seamlessly enable and configure AWS services into their apps. With minimal configuration, you can start using all of the functionality provided by the AWS Mobile Hub from your favorite terminal program if you prefer this mode of access over a web-based one. This CLI experience is useful for developers who are either building applications from scratch or enhancing existing projects with the features for the AWS cloud. Just to give you a few examples, the AWS Mobile init command initializes a new mobile hub project on the AWS cloud using your AWS credentials and other default values. Adding user sign-in capabilities to your mobile hub project created above is as simple as executing the following command, which is AWS mobile user-sign-in enable. And when you're working on your local systems and interacting with the mobile hub project on the cloud, you can use the AWS mobile pull command to get the latest content from the cloud to your local workstation. And likewise, once you've made your changes, you can use AWS mobile push to push your changes back into the AWS Mobile Hub project on the cloud. After you set up the cloud services with CLI, you can then use the open source AWS Amplify library to interact with different categories of cloud services in a declarative way, rather than having to learn individual service contracts. While developers are happy to dive into implementations for advanced or non-standard use cases, many UX flows have become commonplace but can be difficult to get up and running. This leaves them less time to focus on their business differentiators. AWS Amplify is designed to give a declarative interface to client developers to perform common actions using cloud services in a scalable and a secure manner. Now, these new capabilities allow developers writing JavaScript applications to programmatically apply best practices with common abstraction layers, ultimately resulting in faster development cycles. The AWS Amplify library modules allow you to quickly add features such as user sign-up or sign-in, MFA, tracking or metric analytics, as well as content management or serverless API integration to your applications. The library also has internationalization and localization for multi-language support, as well as caching capabilities. And finally, there are components and extensions for React and React Native, allowing developers writing applications on these platforms to add these capabilities with framework-specific standards. JavaScript developers can also use the library to build their own custom UI components, such as custom authentication flows. AWS Amplify is designed to be extended with different implementations among community and partner distributions. Now, for example, if you want to integrate your React Native app with the sign-in service which you just initialized in your Mobile Hub project earlier, it can be as simple as adding 2 lines of code when you use Amplify's higher order components. React Native's higher order components are a technique which allow you to share common functionality between components without repeating any code, thus promoting code reuse and stability. The Amplify library abstracts all the wiring required for your application to communicate with the AWS cloud services so that you can focus on the actual business logic in your app. Amplify can also make features like adding internationalization support to your components very easy with one additional line of code, as we see on line 7 in the screenshot, where the login screen's labels are rendered in French, for example. User engagement is an area of particular interest to developers. The Amazon Lex integration in the AWS Mobile Hub enables developers to take advantage of the powerful automatic speech recognition and natural language understanding capabilities that power Alexa to create engaging speech and text-based conversational bots in your own app. For example, you can easily create engaging experiences for common app scenarios such as booking tickets, ordering products, and much more. Amazon Lex is a fully managed service, so you don't need to spend any time setting up, managing, or scaling any of your infrastructure. Your chatbot, which you create, then connect with Facebook Messenger, Slack, and Twilio. On the AWS front, it works with AWS Lambda, AWS Mobile, as well as Amazon CloudWatch. Your code can also interact with services like Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon Cognito on the cloud. Let's take a quick look at the principal Amazon Lex concepts. A bot contains all of the components of a conversation which you want to have with your customer. An intent represents a goal that the bot's user or your customer wants to achieve. Think buying a plane ticket or scheduling an appointment. An utterance is a spoken or typed phrase that invokes an intent. I want to book a hotel or want to order flowers are 2 simple utterances. Each slot is a piece of data that the user must supply in order to fulfill the intent. Think of slots as variables, and a travel bot could have slots for cities, states, or airports, for example. A prompt is a question that asks the user to supply some data for a slot that is needed to carry out the user's intent. And lastly, fulfillment is the actual business logic that carries out the user's intent. Lex supports the use of Lambda functions for fulfillment. Once you have selected the desired features for your app, the AWS Mobile Hub will give you an option to download the source code to be imported into either an Android Studio or an Xcode project that you would have. This project now uses your AWS resources and includes helper code along with detailed integration instructions as well. When building web and mobile apps, one area in which developers often face challenges is with managing application data. To elaborate, data requirements can vary across different devices, and these become exponentially harder when multiple users share data across them. This is where concerns like syncing data and conflict resolution for changes to the data start to come in. Users want instant access to their content, and any delay, perceived or real, can adversely impact user engagement and loyalty. Another challenge with mobile apps is with internet connectivity, and coupled with the fact that users want a seamless experience irrespective of the quality of connections, it can be a tricky area to address. Complex but increasingly common use cases such as leaderboards, chat, location, search, posts, and comments involve complex modeling and querying patterns. Having to understand how distributed systems like DynamoDB work in the backend can be additional complexity for your client or front-end engineers to grapple with, especially when all they really want to do is just store and retrieve data. We have tried to address all of these problems via a new service called as AWS App Sync. AWS App Sync is a serverless backend service based on GraphQL for building web and mobile applications. It is ideal for real-time use cases, offline data scenarios, and greatly simplifies data access patterns for developers. GraphQL is an alternative way of thinking about APIs when compared to REST, and gives clients the power to ask for exactly what they need and nothing more from the server. It makes it easier to evolve your APIs over time and enables powerful developer toolkits. One of the advantages of GraphQL is that instead of calling multiple RESTful APIs from your clients, then manipulating the data and stitching them together for presentation, you can build a single API endpoint which can serve various types of requests, thus simplifying your client-server interactions overall. Appsync integrates with the Apollo GraphQL client and supports the most popular front-end frameworks, including React, React Native, JavaScript, and the native Android and iOS apps. With Appsync, you can quickly create real-time data services using MQTT over WebSockets by using GraphQL subscriptions, which are very simple to configure and use. You can also easily add offline capabilities to your applications with automatic sync and conflict resolution in the cloud. Now, this is especially useful since developers consider offline capabilities to be important, but also commonplace enough to where they don't really want to implement it themselves on each and every platform. You can use the AWS service ecosystem with GraphQL, where you only get back the data that you asked for. Here, the front-end developer has much better control, and this makes your request-response cycle very efficient. For example, the content required to display on an Apple Watch would be very different from that versus a full-featured mobile application. And the same GraphQL API that you create can serve both types of requests without you having to write two separate APIs. This also helps you as a developer to be very respectful of the battery life and CPU on your customers' devices, as you're minimizing the number of HTTP calls that you make. You can query multiple data sources at once and return a single response back to a requesting client. Appsync works with various data sources like DynamoDB, Elasticsearch, and by using AWS Lambda, you can wire together any other data source as well. So your GraphQL operations can be either simple lookups or even complex queries and mappings with full text searches, fuzzy keyword searches, or even geo-based lookups with this variety that we offer. It also gives you access to enterprise-level security features And by using Cognito and IAM, you can put in strict controls for data access by your apps. What kinds of applications can you build with Appsync? You can use AWS Appsync to build native mobile and web apps with iOS, Android, JavaScript, and React Native. Some examples include building real-time dashboards where many users can quickly see a stream of data updating in real time. These dashboards could be leaderboards for games, status tracking for assets, or even test scores in virtual educational systems. You can create social applications where patterns range from one-to-one conversations to, let's say, a group chat. So if you really look at the target audience, it is anyone who needs offline data patterns, anyone who needs to talk to multiple data sources at the same time, provide a real-time data experience, and deal with complex data structures and data types. You can get started by going to the AWS App Sync console and specify the data for your app with simple code statements, and AWS App Sync will manage everything needed to store, process, and retrieve the data for your applications. You start by specifying a schema for your data, which is going to be served by your GraphQL API. This typically includes information like the data types supported by the API and the operations that you're creating to interact with this data. Once this is done, you wire together your data sources and finally integrate the GraphQL endpoint that is generated for you by AWS Appsync into your client applications. AWS Appsync takes care of all of the undifferentiated heavy lifting and lets you focus on introducing richer feature sets into your apps. Now that we've completed the development phase, let's look at testing and deploying the application. Application quality is a very important differentiator in an increasingly competitive app market. You need to make sure that the people who download your app are happy and engaged. While emulators and simulators are helpful for small, routine unit tests, your users are ultimately running your app on a variety of phones and tablets in the real world. The AWS Device Farm is a service that enables you to improve the quality of your app by testing it on real physical phones and tablets in the AWS cloud. AWS maintains a growing collection of hundreds of different devices in AWS data centers. Now, these devices are made available 24/7 for your testing needs, whether you're doing manual testing or running automated tests in a highly parallel way, or debugging an issue reported by one of your users. Your tests can be automated and then run in parallel on hundreds of different devices, generating actionable reports with video, screenshots, performance data, and logs to get to the root cause of any issue. Testing on demand is helpful, but what about ensuring the integrity of your builds on commit? Effective testing requires a structured approach, and the less friction you have between your tests and your development, the better it is for your overall dev cycles. That's why we have a RESTful API that allows straightforward access to every aspect of Device Farm. By using our CLI and SDKs, testing and the resulting analysis on the Device Farm can be integrated into any tool or service that you might use. We have gone a step further and built plugins for popular integration solutions like Jenkins and Gradle so that you can set up seamless testing in just a few minutes. If you don't have a CI environment, you can go all in with the cloud and get started with Amazon Code Pipeline. You'll then be able to kick tests off automatically whenever code is committed or a new build is available, helping you catch issues quicker and helping you make sure that the application you're deploying will delight your users. Now that your app is running in production, you would typically look at measuring its effectiveness and increasing its usage. That's where we'll discuss the next phase of the mobile app lifecycle. Once your app is deployed, you should be able to run analytics on usage, retention, and monetization. You also need flexibility in the app to instrument it and run custom analytics. Finally, analytics should be integrated across different channels, be it mobile, web, or desktop. Amazon Pinpoint is a service which tracks how your users interact with your app so that you can monitor the impact of your campaigns. Pinpoint provides real-time analytics with dashboards for analyzing user engagement, monetization, user demographics, custom events, and funnels so that you can understand how users engage with your app. With Amazon Pinpoint, you can define target segments from various data sources like data collected by the Amazon Pinpoint service itself or by other AWS services such as Amazon S3 and Amazon Redshift. Once you define your segments, Amazon Pinpoint lets you send targeted notifications with personalized messages to each user in the segment. Amazon Pinpoint can send these push notifications either immediately or as part of a recurring campaign. You have now seen how the AWS platform enables developers to create apps quickly and easily with the help of various AWS services and the managed infrastructure available to you. Developers can easily deliver high-quality applications and engage users intelligently through insights and multi-channel and multi-platform messaging. If after today, you're wanting to take your AWS knowledge to the next level, you have several options available to you. To gain more confidence and hands-on experience, watch our instructional videos and explore the self-paced labs. Additionally, you can attend our instructor-led classes by qualified AWS instructors and learn how to design, deploy, and operate highly available, cost-effective, and secure applications on AWS. Do remember to validate your technical expertise with AWS certification. And finally, please do take the time to provide feedback on today's event so that we can improve the event experience for you in the future. AWS also has a wide partner ecosystem to help you focus on your success and take full advantage of all the business benefits that AWS has to offer. To learn more about how APN partners can help you and to find the right APN partner for your needs, please visit the AWS APN booth at our showcase. Thank you very much for listening to me and hope you enjoyed the rest of the AWS Innovate online conference. Have a wonderful day and yes, go build.